All right, so this is a twin flame reading for those in the sign Gemini who are in separation, who are not currently together. And the reason why I'm going to do a twin flame series right now through the end of the month, try and do this for all signs because I keep getting multiple requests for private readings for twin flames, and I can't possibly fulfill all these requests and continue to do all the videos that I normally like to post on YouTube. So I'm going to try and do a series. This is the sign of Gemini. This is the first of the 12 signs. So it's important to remember that this is an intuitive reading. So these are intuitive messages interpreted from the cards, and they're not everything is going to be one complete succinct message where it's going to be a storyline. A lot of this parts of this are going to resonate for some of you and parts aren't, but needless to say, I'm going to try and bring through as many messages as I can for the sign of Gemini, again for twin flames who are currently in separation. So we're going to get started, and we're going to see what comes out in this message here. I think this is pretty interesting to start. So for those of you watching, the cards are very distinctly different, and the way I do my twin flame readings is I try to to see if the cards mirror one another, meaning that they're by mirroring that it helps to understand things better, whether or not you and your person are where you're at, like how close you are to being in union or how far apart you are in your separation. It kind of helps to bring in a clearer message. So I'm going to start out here. So these cards here are distinctly different, and they represent you. For those of you watching, if you're cross watching for a Gemini, or this would represent your person, these other cards here. So I've gone ahead and shuffled the cards and pulled the cards out and laid out the spread so we could get right to it and not have an overly long video. And so the way I'm doing it is I'm just live streaming it privately, and then I'll make it public after the video is done processing. So obviously you've gotten this point, and that's happened. So anyway, you have the Knight of Cups in your current present circumstance, and your person here has the Emperor. So the two of you, from what I see, the first message here is having a different point of view about your separation. For many of you, you might be waiting or wanting for your person to approach you, and there's been a period of separation where I get the message that your person is taking the stand that they want you to approach them, and you want them to approach you. So there's this feeling of you want that offer to come in to you, because you don't feel like it is your position or your place at this time in your life to approach your person and make that offer, and you might be feeling a little bit intimidated. Some of you have had multiple on and off scenarios where you couldn't just make the relationship work, and so there seems to me with the Eight of Wands, some of you have hesitated to approach your person or to come toward your person because of a fear of rejection. You're not completely sure where they stand. You have the Eight of Wands in reverse, and so you don't you're not entirely sure where they stand as far as how they feel about you. I think that for some of you there's been a bit of tension in the sense that one of your one message is somebody has been with a karmic for a period of time, and I think that that relationship has ended, but you don't want to come toward your person because you are afraid of feeling vulnerable and overly eager. So you're kind of waiting things out. You're kind of just waiting for them to come toward you. However, your person is doing the same thing in a sense, because temperance is a reverse and is waiting for you to come toward them. So some of you have been kind of dealing with this kind of stalemate where there isn't a whole lot of anything happening because one is waiting on the other. And I feel like in this message here that there's been a lot of work on the part of both. And so like there's this feeling of a union that is kind of in the making. Again, you have the Two of Wands, and so you're waiting for that person to come in into your life. You know this person, you know them intimately, and while you've been doing a lot of work on yourself, and you may have at a time have been completely not in a relationship. So I see some of you have chosen to remain either celibate or separate from having any type of relationship, and some of you have done this and seen your person go through a relationship with a karmic that has ended, and so now it's like kind of to the point where you're trying to manifest this union coming together, but it's just something that isn't happening. It isn't coming in when you were hoping or expecting it to come in. So while this has been going on, some of you have put a lot of focus on healing, a lot of focus on your creative your creative side, channeling your energy into creative projects, into creative things, because it's an outlet for you to kind of find some wholeness, some healing. And in this during this time where you've kind of diverted your focus away from your partner that you're in separation with, they've been kind of putting their time toward their work, their career, their money, trying to create a stable future, stability for themselves. And so this has been kind of an ongoing storyline where now it's finally to the point where to you it almost feels like a breaking point. You want to just kind of overcome your fear and approach your person, but you don't know how that's going to be received. I have the feeling that there's like this feeling of intimidation with the Emperor here, because there is history, and in that history there were things that are uncomfortable in that history that have to be kind of faced or dealt with in a way that where there aren't any grudges, where there aren't any feelings of animosity. And I think this has been a long time in the making. Some of you have been waiting for an ending, waiting for a karmic relationship to end with your person, and I see the Death card is in reverse. So some of you have been kind of on the sidelines just watching this, and I feel like there's this definitely this sense of knowing that you may not have this relationship in this lifetime, or this feeling that you may not have this relationship in this lifetime, but nonetheless you still are going to try and manifest that. You're still going to try and bring that into reality, so to speak. So you do have this with the Death card in reverse, the ending to this being kind of stuck in this ending that you're hoping to happen with your person and their karmic just isn't happening at this time. And they're really not that's really not their focus. I think in this karmic relationship, I think they are aware of how you maybe feel, but they have some attachments to this person, and so there's a sense of duty and responsibility, and they can't cut themselves loose right now. And so I think for some of you, you have to make a decision how you're going to handle this moving on. You do have the sun here, and the sun is a great energy to be in, because that's empowerment. That's the universe being at your back and agreeing with you what you want. And so I think after some time, though, I think that shows like down the road, and this could be some time down the road, there's this feeling that there is this self-observation that happens between yourself and your person, and there starts to there's just this feeling that things start to synchronize. And because you have spent a lot of time going within, spending time working on yourself, finding answers, searching for answers, the importance of this relationship and how you feel about fate and destiny. And to you, this is a very emotional connection. And then your person here, at some point in the future, is kind of taking the approach. They're looking at things more from a pragmatic point of view, but nonetheless, it's still a very spiritual kind of feeling, but it's less emotionally attached, and it's more about the practicality and how this would work, how this could ever really work out. Is something that they're thinking in the back of their mind. And so I think at some point there is this connection or decision that has to be made here between your person and their karmic. I could see like you have the chariot here, or your person does, and that chariot to me is a decision that they're going to make. It's either they're going to pursue their karmic fully throughout this lifetime, or they're going to either pursue this relationship, this connection that they have with you in this dynamic. So this is kind of this uncertainty. They're this feeling that they're holding back something. And I think what they're holding back is really from their current karmic partner. They're not they're in this continued state of thinking about you. They're in this continued state of wondering about you, and in this continued state of holding on to this relationship that has been over for some time. And they don't communicate this with their karmic partner, of course, because this would cause a lot of tension and a lot of instability in the relationship. But I think that their partner kind of senses that there is this there's this underlying intuition that they have that your person is very much still kind of dwelling on the past and looking at the past, and having a hard time with that, despite moving forward in their relationship. There is this kind of ability for your person's karmic partner to recognize that there's this connection that is different, and it's different from what they have with between the two of them and between you and your person. So I don't know if that really makes sense if I explain that clearly, but they do recognize that there's this connection. Now you do have the Six of Wands. So to me, I do feel that this is a chapter closing at some point here, meaning this chapter is not about you and your person, but this is about you and yourself, improvement and development, getting to a place of feeling completely and totally free from your person. Whether or not you pursue them or this manifests down the road, this is you getting to a happy medium, being okay, knowing that not all twin flames go into union. That's just not something that that is guaranteed to happen. Many people play this out, and they bump into each other throughout lifetimes, but never really fully get into that place of being in a twin flame union. So this, I think, is you recognizing that. And I did talk about the sun. This is really the universe being at your back, being empowered. And this, to me, is also about healing yourself. And getting past the idea of the ending that is not happening between your person's karmic and your person. Some of you have had, there's this deep need for healing with you or yourself with this relationship and other relationships that have caused some traumas. But your person, some of you have somebody that is dealing with some very overly this is a burden. This is a big, heavy emotional burden, and so they have some very deep wounds that need to be healed. And I could see, like, with the Hierophant here, just kind of intuitively just talks to me and says that they're not really dealing with that in the healthiest way. They are kind of looking at things from a very cold perspective or cold point of view of themselves, and really just telling themselves that they need to just move past it and get over it rather than confront some pain and trauma that they have. And so I think that's another message, that if you have somebody, you're dealing with somebody that is kind of refusing to take the bandages off a wound and allow it to heal, allow the sunlight to hit it, allow the air to let it breathe, and really confront it and deal with it. Instead, they're really just kind of covering it up. And so this is a big healing moment out of the Hierophant. I feel like that has to happen for some of you with your person. Also, I do see that some of you have given up on the idea or concept of twin flame, and that giving up on that, you've kind of put that down. You have decided that you're going to walk away from that, only because I think you feel very disappointed with the way things played out. And so some of you might feel like the whole concept is disingenuous, but there's a piece of you that won't let that go. You're still holding out for hope that is a reality that's going to manifest in your love life. But the problem is, a lot of people don't understand, a twin flame relationship is often very painful. You've often got somebody that is afraid to commit, and then you've got somebody that's always trying to get that person to commit, and so it becomes a very volatile relationship. I think the Page of Swords here is I would call this like the soul of your part in this reading. So the Page of Swords is to me really trying to get yourself in a place where you can look at things in a way that isn't all about the emotion and the overspilling and overflowing of emotion. So this is, like, to me, trying to get balanced in a way that you can, when some of you are going to be having a union at some point down the road. I don't see that in this reading anytime soon, but this is about preparing yourself to be kind of equally balanced. There's this feeling of being overly emotional. I think, for a period of time, and that feeling of being overly emotional, overly heartfelt, is something for some of you that kind of turns your partner off and turns them away. And so there is a feeling of having a hard time, not I don't want to say chasing them away, but it becomes a little overwhelming. So I think this Page of Swords is about finding balancing, being able to learn to communicate without wearing your emotions on your sleeve and feeling them so intently in an overly empathic way that this is kind of like about finding that new balance in the way you communicate with your person. So that's, again, another message. Now, the kind of overall soul feeling for your person is the Queen of Cups. um, you know, they have the Nine of Pentacles here, and so they've been working on this. Some of you have had your person. They're working on their stability. They're focused on their work. They're focused on um, their play, and they're focused on what makes them feel good and happy in the moment. But it's kind of getting to the point where it's getting old, and the Queen of Cups is getting them kind of to the point where they're feeling that. Oh, what's that saying? They're feeling that that itch, or um, that their clock is ticking, so to speak, and so they're realizing that it's kind of futile because they're running out of happiness and operating in this mode. And so the Queen of Cups is really them looking at things more in the aspect of what they want, for that fulfillment. Because there may some of you might be dealing with somebody that they never your person never really had a true committed relationship. They jumped relationships and hopped relationships, and this is something that has continued to happen over and over again. And so they're finding that this is a disappointment. It's something that has brought them a lot of empty feelings. It's superficial, it's on the surface. And so there's this realization that they have that there has to be more to life, and having to get over that fear of commitment. The Queen of Cups is about uh, the things that make you feel valued, and the things that you do value that bring true enjoyment and true happiness. And it's about that feeling of true joy. And in this, the way it's depicted is in the sense of family, home, more intimate connections. And so the Queen of Cups is this person's point of view kind of changing. So I think this is a really interesting reading, because I could just keep pulling messages out of here. But a lot of you are in separation, and to me, I don't see anything in this particular reading, if you're watching this, that says there is this union that's coming. I think for a lot of you that if you're watching this, you're finding that you're having to kind of let that go for now, that there has to be a natural progression for this to actually happen and work out in a way that that is meant to be. So with that said, you have co-create, and I think this is a message for those of you that kind of feel like you have this kind of telepathic connection, trying to co-create and manifest this relationship into an existence. And this co-creation is more on a soul level, more on a spiritual level with your person. So some of you have been kind of trying to manifest kind of this telepathically, in a way, your union with your person. And I don't know that maybe this is something that's conscious, being done consciously, but it's nonetheless, it's this feeling of trying to manifest this relationship or this union, but without really realizing that you're doing it, because we're always manifesting. No matter what we're doing, we're always manifesting. It's something that is very much a part of our everyday routine, a part of our everyday being. And I think that this is, for some of you, something that isn't really something you realize that you're actually doing. And we do have one other card here. We have healing. So I think this reading is a lot about healing and completing that healing process, because anytime you have a union that comes together and there is this incomplete healing, that union is going to it's going to go the other way. It's never going to be rooted in solid foundations. And so I think that this reading in itself is very much about healing and focusing on healing of self, and not trying to fix your person. I think one of the messages here is, that you've been down that road. You've tried to fix them. You've tried to make them happy. You've tried to do all those things that a partner would do to bring that joy and that contentment into your person's life. But if they haven't completed any type of healing significantly, then that relationship is destined to fail at that point in time, and it's going to unravel. So I think this is very interesting. Definitely the healing is a very big part of this, and I think I think, you know, there's this feeling of a standoff. If you're having a standoff with your person, it's because there is a lack of healing. If you're at a distance with your person and they seem to be having the time of their life, or they're just got their mind on other things, and they're not focused on this relationship, or they're not communicating with you, it's because they are having to go through a number of karmic things to manifest healing in their life, and it's something that has to play out. Anything forcing anything is going to, you know, naturally it's going to crumble. But again, co-create that subconscious manifestation that is kind of, for some of you, coming through telepathically. Like, you don't realize that you're doing it, but you're having an effect on your person even though you are not together. And they are, some of you, they are doing the same thing. And so you recognize there's this kind of weird feeling that you're not 100% sure that you believe is actually happening, but there is this kind of almost telepathy in this separation, and it is helping to manifest a union, because what it does is it triggers a natural desire to want to manifest a relationship within this kind of dynamic of the twin flame. In order for that to happen, things have to, karmic cycles have to be completed, and you know, again, the big theme here is healing has to take place. So Gemini, this is kind of what I get out of this. There's several broken up messages. Some of it is a theme, some of it is in bits and pieces, but you know, take with you what makes sense and what resonates, and just know that even though there isn't any messages of union happening from now, the 19th of June, through the end of July, there is an overall positive message about working on oneself and self-improvement in order to kind of trigger that union at some point down the road. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to sign off here, and I hope some of you find this useful and informative. And you know, if you want to hear more from me, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button so you can get notifications. And if any of this, parts of this resonate with you, be sure to let me know, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.